Come on, let's go outside. Let's take a walk in the sun. There are things to learn and things to see. A big wide world for you, your dog, and me. Dog Talk. Hi, folks, and welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Pat Becker. This is my co-host, Kari King.
And Kensington.
Hello. And Kensington, yes. Everybody will recognize her from Channel 52 and Channel 4. She's on camera quite a bit. Very good friend, and this is kind of a wonderful reunion because all the crew is from there originally. And I'd like to introduce our guests today, Nan and Joe Height. How are you?
We're doing great. Thank you very much for having us
Oh,
today.
I am so thrilled because you have taken over a bookstore that is in Kickingbird.
Yes.
And it's called?
Best of Books.
The Best
or
of
we
Books.
call it Bob, too.
That was what I was going to say because I heard you say that and I thought you were going to say Bob. But it is the Best of Books and truly is.
Yes.
We had a wonderful experience in there with talking with Tom Watson.
Yes.
It's amazing to me how a community like that, there were so many people in there. Carrie, you would have loved this. There were children absolutely going through books, looking at things.
I love that.
Please, Lord, let them keep reading.
and that's very important. They need to keep reading, and reading books are very important for their future.
It is. It's so important. Everything is so electronic anymore, and even with my computer, I'm finding my spelling used to be exemplary, and now I'm having to, it's getting a little tenuous, so that computer fills it in. But I must read. I must keep doing that. So today we are going to talk about Tom Watson's book, and he was delightful. And Tom wrote a book called, a series of books called Stick Dog. And these books are just wonderful. They are made for kids.
Yes.
When we were over there, the kids, he sits down with the kids and he helps, he paints the dog and they help paint the dog. Oh, it was wonderful, Carrie. If he comes back, you and I are going to have to go back over there because he is just delightful, a delightful person. So when you took over this bookstore, what was your mission?
Well, the mission is to build the community that they already had. Had some excellent owners, and Kathy and Julia. And matter of fact, Julie still works with us in many different capacities, but they had a community. And I think our mission was to continue to grow that community, but grow a community of authors and readers, and understanding how important reading is. Not only for adults, but especially for children. So half our bookstore is divided up in children's titles. So we have a lot of children's authors, and when we get authors such as Tom Watson with Stick Dog, it really just inspires and encourages and livens up the atmosphere of Best of Books.
Oh, it really does, and I am so grateful that you had mentioned that my book was going to be in there. And this,
yes.
I have a mission. There again, so many of us who are pet advocates, try in every way, every kind of medium, in order to convince people to when a dog is adopted, especially, it has a history. So we like to kind of make people understand that it takes a period of orientation for this dog to get back to trust again.
Yes.
And that's what Search for Paradise does. So, I am so enthused totally about this, and I'm very excited. And I had approached you all about coming by maybe once a month and showing us a new book that you had. Carrie, you've got a couple down there too that I noticed. Those are cute.
I know, and I like this. So do you have like an array on what types of breeds there are? Because everybody sees a cute dog. Kinsey is great. She's adorable.
A Yorkie.
But she is a Yorkie. But her breed might not be the best for certain people. You know what I mean? So you really need to get a breed.
Those are informative.
Don't base it
books.
on looks.
Exactly.
Base it on what the breed quality is.
There's all sorts of different types of books.
Right.
How to train a dog, stories about dogs.
Selecting a dog is what you say. Exactly.
Dogs are part of bookstores' cultures. There's, we're now training our Boston Terrier pups to become bookstore dogs. We want them at the bookstore.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so
Boston
and that's how important
Terriers
it is.
especially would be wonderful.
Yes.
Meeters and greeters, there you go.
You bet. And
readers.
And that's right. But again, there's a wide variety of books on dogs and especially the good treatment of dogs. And I think today there's a lot more awareness especially in children's books, is the importance of rescue dogs.
Oh, don't
yes.
you love this man?
I do. I love it.
He and Ann have the right ideas.
Yeah.
That is just excellent. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want you to view the video that we took with Tom. You'll enjoy it.
Oh, very good. That's excellent.
Hey Dog Talk fans, you can win $100 to A1 Pet Emporium by being our Dog of the Week. Just send us an email with a picture of your furry friend to pat@dogtalktv.com.
And find us on Facebook, Dog Talk TV.
Now, back to the show.
Tom Watson, what a pleasure. I am so delighted to finally meet you. I am a fan of your Stick Dog books, and I'm just overcome with joy because you are here in Oklahoma.
I'm happy to be here. This is my first trip to Oklahoma, Pat, and it's I go to schools all the time, but I haven't been in Oklahoma before. And one of the things I love to do is talk to kids in schools about their own dogs.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
this kind of show for me is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, this is so perfect for us here in Oklahoma because educationally everything helps. Talking about these dogs who talk about themselves and make fun of people, and they don't understand people and people sometimes don't understand dogs. So it is a absolutely made for kids type book, and I am so pleased.
That's absolutely true.
So tell me, when you started, how long have you been doing it now?
Well, the first Stick Dog book came out in January of 13, and there are 5 out now. Mm-hmm. But I wrote them probably when my daughter was 9 and my son was 8. I wrote it for them. So that's sort of the wheelhouse for Stick Dog is 3rd, 4th, 5th grade probably. Even though parents use it as a read aloud, and I've even got some nice things from teenagers because they like the humor in the books too.
I love the humor in these books.
But the series actually started with my kids at home. I had drawn a little dog on a sticky note, and they made fun of my drawing because I really don't draw very well.
So I see it's perfect. I think it's just perfect. It is absolutely a dog. Absolutely.
Yes. Well, that's what I think too. But they named him because they said that's not a dog. That's like a stick dog, like a stick person, like you draw a stick person. And we were having hamburgers for dinner that night, and they wanted to hear about Stick Dog that I had drawn on a quest for hamburgers. So I made up some more friends, and it started there. That's kind of how it happened.
So you have 5 books out?
5 out, and they're going to be at least 8.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So what were you always a writer?
Yes, I've always been a writer. My first jobs out of college were actually in politics, of all things. I ended up, probably the best job I had in politics was I was the chief speechwriter for the governor of Ohio way back when. He was term limited, and I went to Chicago looking for politicians I could work with, and realized really quickly
I don't
like Chicago politicians.
I started to say I can see why you switched to dogs.
Yeah, so I switched to dogs as fast as I could. Yes.
Very smart, very smart. So in all of these, Stick Dog starts out. Tell me what Stick Dog first does.
Well, they're all
book.
stray dogs.
Right.
So they need to find food every day. So each book is a quest for a different kind of food. So his friends will be hungry around him, and it's sort of his job to help the group find food. And sort of what we realize in the books is Stick Dog is really the brains of the outfit, right? The other 4 dogs.
He's the leader.
He's the alpha
leader.
dog without question.
And Stick Dog obviously is a mixed breed.
Yes, absolutely. Although I don't really assign a breed to him on purpose because I want the reader, I want the kids to kind of think of Stick Dog as their own dog.
Generic.
Yeah, totally.
A dog, the dog.
Right, totally.
So tell me where you're going. What is the next project, the next book? How will it be?
The next one is about spaghetti. Well, the last one, the 5th one, came out just a couple of weeks ago, so we're really still talking about that. That Stick Dog tries to take the donuts.
I know, I love that one.
And in that one, there's sort of a running story that the poodle is obsessed with squirrels. He really doesn't like squirrels.
Exactly.
And finally, in Donuts, the poodle comes face to face with a squirrel, which is one of the highlights of the book. For me, anyway, I loved writing it. But the 6th book will come out in November. That's called Stick Dog Slurps Spaghetti. They're
Spaghetti.
gonna sneak
I love
into an
this.
Italian restaurant.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. I love that. So with these, this is so prolific. I'm overwhelmed. And every one, although it's the same, it is different.
Right. Totally. That's
You know.
exactly what we try to do, is that kids are comfortable with kind of the linear narrative that's going on, but the jokes are all different, the food's different, the adventure's different. So it's if you read one, you haven't read them all, which I
Yes.
kind of like. And
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that because it gives you an appetite for the next one. You know,
appetite's the perfect word. Yeah. And it gives me a chance to develop the characters a little bit more. You know what I mean? So we are starting to discover now that Mutt is is really the most sensitive of the 5 dogs,
Yes,
which can
yes.
be really fun for me
Yes,
to write
yes.
about. Yeah.
And that's the thing that is so delightful, is that each has its own character.
Absolutely.
Its own personality.
Yeah.
And you get to where, when I was reading them, it gets to, I pick out one that I really prefer.
I think that's true. I think that's true. I find that in schools all the time. Like, I like Karen the best. No, I like Stripes.
Well, you know, I think especially with children, they can relate
Mm-hmm.
to one of the dog's attitudes, personalities, opinions.
Absolutely.
You know, the dialogue is super. So tell me about the illustrations.
Well, I do. I'm not a good artist.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
not
I
a
love
good-
these.
I'm not a good drawer. But one of the things I love about the illustrations in the books is that kids can copy them. You know, the narrator of the story is really a 5th or 6th grader who's writing a story for English class. So they can identify with it kind of age-wise, but they can also identify with it through the pictures. So one of the things when I go to schools is I give a stick dog drawing lesson. So, you know, I may be talking to 400 or 500 kids at a time, but by the time we're done in 45 minutes or an hour, they can draw every character. They know
Isn't
how to
that
draw
wonderful?
and I love the idea of that.
Oh,
So,
I love that idea too. You are really getting through to them.
Yeah.
And by this, they take ownership in it this way.
absolutely.
you
And
know.
then they write their own stick dog stories and they illustrate them and they, you know, that kind of stuff to me
So
is just
have you ever
fascinating.
had a contest where a child writes a stick dog?
I haven't had a contest, but I have gotten some really wonderful stories emailed to me, and I get pictures all the time.
Well, I think it would encourage those who have a talent for writing, you know, a creative nature, so to speak.
That's sort of the idea, is that the books not only encourage reading, which we need all kids to be good readers,
Absolutely.
but it also kind of is on the creative side too, of drawing a lot and maybe writing your own story and that kind of stuff. So that's really what we try and get across in my school visits mainly, is like, look, you guys can draw the characters. You can come up with a food that they might like, so you can make your own story. you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it really brings them in, and,
Yeah.
and I think that is a great form of art. It's in itself when you can touch kids like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So what age group do you say that it impacts the most?
Probably 7 to 10 is the real wheelhouse for Stick Dog, but I get great things from parents who use it as a read aloud. So even like 4 or 5, 6-year-old kids are being read to. And then I get nice things from teenagers who, I like to think the humor in the books is sort of adult humor in a kid's book. It's play on words, it's irony, it's self-deprecation, those kinds of things.
We thank you so much for taking the
I was
time
happy
and
to be
sitting
here.
down with
Thanks
us.
for all the good work you're doing.
Take care.
Thanks. Thanks for that.
So that was really, really cute. He is so good and so easy to talk with. Of course, that's what makes him so great with the kids. So we thank you so much again, Nan, Joe.
Thank
and guys,
you.
we will look forward to seeing you once a month and learning
bet.
more about Best of Books Bookstore, and that's located at
And the Kicking Bird Square Shopping Center, 1313 East Danforth.
There you go. It's a great place to go, guys. We will going to take a little break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Dr. Roach about a serious subject.
A1 Pet Emporium is Oklahoma's authority on healthy nutrition for dogs and cats. Quality does not have to cost more, and we only have the best. If your pet suffers from allergies, digestive issues, skin infections, or hair loss, it may be the result of their diet. A1 Pet Emporium can help. We offer pet portraits monthly, adorable rescue animals every Saturday from noon to 4, and free dog and cat food samples. Locally owned and operated, we want to be your neighborhood pet store.
Welcome back to Dog Talk, everybody. I'm Janice, the producer of the show. Behind the scenes and in front today with, of course, Kari King
Hello,
is joining us. Yes, is our host. And Kensington has.
That's right.
She's just a little stressed out. I wish she'd calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Pat's taking a side chair now, and we have Dr. Brad Roach in today. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
So I had a couple questions for you, Dr. Roach, because my dog, Mr. Duke, recently had, we found a tumor on him. And it was a very scary situation. I'd never seen anything like that. Luckily, it was benign, no big deal. But for dog owners out there who may not be familiar, but, you know, poke and prod and are always checking out their dog as they should, when do you really get concerned about finding a spot or a bump or something like that? Is there something that owners can look for specifically?
That's a really good question. Sometimes you can feel by the shape of it or how it feels real soft. It might be a fatty tumor, but the new tests are making it all better.
Good.
Because now we can differentiate between cancer and inflammation and with the blood tests. And so when we're testing, you know, cancer, we're looking at autoimmune diseases, renal diseases, liver diseases, and there's so many different things that can interfere with our diagnosis now. But now we can say, well, that's cancer, but what's chronic inflammation? And there are two things that have now come out. TK1 is actually something in the blood that you can measure that will tell you about whether it's a malignant cancer or not. And then C-reactive protein for dogs and haptoglobin for cats is a measure of inflammation. So think of it this way, if you're high on TK1 and inflammation, then that puts you in a high-risk category for cancer risk assessment. Those dogs need to go straight to ultrasound, they need to have a big workup done, or if they just test high on C-reactive protein, they have inflammation. We don't have to get all freaked out about it.
So this is done with a blood test.
With a blood test.
Which is so much
Yes.
easier than, you know. a
Yeah,
lot
and
of
if they
things.
don't test high on either one of them, we just watch it. It's not that big of a deal. That tumor is not going to be something that's going to probably show its ugly head.
Well, you know, there have been so many cases of cancer, and I do not remember. I've had 40 dogs in my life, and I do not remember, and maybe it was just because they weren't diagnosed, but I don't remember cancer being as rampant as it is.
Oh, every day I see a bad case of cancer. Not just the little bumps that are soft you take.
And in younger dogs, too, not just aged dogs. So we know that the immune system drops, and that makes it more vulnerable, but
Right. Well,
with young dogs?
that brings me to the next point. Vitamin D has a lot to do with the body's ability to make you immune to cancer.
Exactly.
And so the problem is dogs and cats cannot make it in their skin. You know, I can take my hat off and make a lot of vitamin D right here, but they cannot. It's all from their diet. And there's so many different qualities of diet that they're not getting vitamin D. And I've done dozens and dozens of these tests, and only 3 I've tested are high enough not to need supplementation.
Is that the sun gives us vitamin D, doesn't it?
On humans, but not on pets. They
But
get it
not
all
on
from their
pets.
diet.
So do you suggest supplements, or how could they get more
Well,
vitamin
yeah.
D in their
Well,
diet even?
from a little dog point of view, the RxD3 liquid
Look at
is
that.
what we
Pass
usually
that
use.
on.
So, because you can dose it by the drop and get down to like 100 units or 200 units or whatever they need. But our test will tell us how many units to give each patient based on
Really?
their weight. So optimizing vitamin D and doing the cancer risk assessment is huge for any dog that's got chronic disease.
When you say the cancer risk assessment, is this something you can go ask your veterinarian for when you go in for a regular checkup?
These tests are now available to any practitioner
Okay.
if they're open-minded enough to use them.
To use them.
You know,
Yeah.
an issue that I have always felt very strongly about, and another reason I feel for spaying and neutering, is the mammary glands are very vulnerable. And I think, 25% of all dogs and their female dogs and at a certain age can get this kind of thing. So what is that? So what does that mean? I mean, I know that age has something to do with it too, but mammary tumors there are a lot of them.
Yes, many are on dogs that are not malignant. Mostly on cats, they are malignant. So that's kind of a rule of thumb. But it's something that we're finding out more about even as when I was going to vet school, the data was different. And so now we're trying to reduce the spaying where it takes away all their hormones. And so we do ovary sparing spays and neuters without taking the testicle out, basically Zeuterin. So it gives them some hormonal protection later in life, but that makes you want to follow the mammary tissue even closer. And so but even more than that, we have so many toxins in our environment and so much in our feed that I think that's where it really comes into our cancer risk and where we're getting those risks.
Those problems. And I noticed that Morris Animal Foundation is doing research on golden retrievers, and they have a predisposition for certain kinds of cancer, don't they? And other medical problems. So what are they doing? Will that help other breeds of dogs?
In their research with those
With the Goldens?
Yes, and with people too. It's interesting to find, some of that research they're doing on dogs will translate back to the human field. Yeah.
So what can we do as dog owners? As our dogs get older, we check them out daily and that sort of thing, just in the grooming and in the touching?
Just touch them a lot, and then get senior blood tests done, starting at about 7, and then optimize vitamin D. I can't say that enough.
So what about internal tumors? I mean, we can't see those. We know that they are listless or that they throw up or have diarrhea. Is that an indication?
Anything that goes on more than a few days is an indication to go ahead and get a further workup. And,
wow.
Yeah.
So let's say the worst situation has occurred and your dog is tested positive for cancer and you know that the end is near, so to speak. We talk a lot about, on Dog Talk, quality of life and what that means. But as a medical professional, are there signs that you would say, oh, okay, it's time to start thinking about the next step for your dog, which unfortunately may be moving on? Is there something that you can tell people if they've stopped eating? That's a good indication, or something like that?
Right, the treatments on that are so varied, and with holistic medicine, we have so many more tools in nutrition and with acupuncture and herbs that are anti-cancer, that there's so many ways to go. We'll give somebody the opportunity to refer to an oncologist, but we can do a lot of that kind of thing in a natural way with what we do. And it seems that the dogs, when they're treated holistically, they don't linger too much. They'll feel good pretty much up to the point where they're ready to go, and then they go quickly. And this is the difference, I think, in holistic medicine. And many of my colleagues in holistic medicine have noticed that is the case. They feel better.
And a lot of people choose to go on chemo and some of those things, which do, let them live a little bit longer. I have had dogs that have lived 2 or 3 years longer, on certain treatments. And it's a choice that we make, so that's the thing. Thank you so much, Dr. Roach.
Thank you.
Gosh, we just depend on you so much. You always come through for us.
Well, the key is integration of the Western and the Eastern. The Western diagnosis is great, and the Eastern treatments have no side effects, basically.
Right, so
really
you should have a combination. And this is the thing. If you go to a veterinarian that does strictly the traditional kind of medicine, should you seek a second opinion?
If the prognosis is dire, I would. Yeah.
Good info. Yes. Good info. Janice, good issue there. I'm
back behind the camera.
I love this.
Yeah?
I did not know about the vitamin D, and that's
there you go.
Fascinating. I love that. Good information.
Yes. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Maggie Mulligan's here.
A1 Pet Emporium is Oklahoma's authority on healthy nutrition for dogs and cats. Quality does not have to cost more, and we only have the best. If your pet suffers from allergies, digestive issues, skin infections, or hair loss, it may be the result of their diet. A1 Pet Emporium can help. We offer pet portraits monthly, adorable rescue animals every Saturday from noon to 4, and free dog and cat food samples. Locally owned and operated, we want to be your neighborhood pet store.
So in a couple segments, a couple weeks ago, we had a small segment on grooming, and we got so many viewers who said, we want to see more. It wasn't explained well enough. So I said, okay, I'm going to get an expert. Maggie Mulligan, how are you?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
And you have a wonderful facility. It's mobile.
Yes.
And it goes around to all of these different places, diamonds in the rough. It's a wonderful, wonderful facility if you need your dog groomed. Kari, this is Maggie.
Hello.
Hi there.
And this is
Kensington.
This is Kensington.
Hello.
So
and she thinks you're here for her.
Yeah, she's a little nervous.
She went, oh, yes.
It's okay.
So there's so many different kinds of coats. This is the thing that we need to explain to people. There are flat coats, oily coats, wiry coats, silky coats, harsh coats, double coats, broken coats. There are so many. So what I thought I would do is I would list some breeds of dogs, you can tell me what kind of coat they have and what kind of tool is necessary. That way our viewers will know how to groom their dogs. So let's start with German Shepherds.
Yes, German Shepherds are double coated. They have a coarse top coat and a very dense undercoat that sheds quite a lot. So I would start out probably with a slicker for the top coat, and then you need something, probably a bigger comb than this one, but a large comb to get the undercoat out. Also a great de-shedding tool is going to be your #1 tool with a dog like that, especially since they shed so much. They have a lot of undercoat.
So let's go to kind of a flat coat then, the Beagle.
Sure. Yep, a flat, short coat. My favorite brush is the Curry brush for flat-coated breeds. It's rubber, it's not going to hurt them, and it pulls all of the dead hair off and keeps it nice and slick and shiny.
Oh, that is just great. So then, let's see, a different one, the Poodle.
Oh, my favorite. I own one. I like to start out with a slicker brush. They have curly hair, so you definitely want to be able to get underneath the hair through those curls with a nice big comb. You can even use a pin brush. So you want to just be straightening out the curls. They have a tend to mat since they are wavy.
Right, and then you have to clip them and what have you in different ways.
Oh yes.
Yeah, those are really great. So let's talk about then Dachshunds also have a flat coat.
Dachshunds can have different types of coats, but one of them is the flat coat. You want to use a slicker or pin brush. You can also use this great Curry brush that's rubber. That's going to take any dead hair off of them.
And then of course for the coat that is that's a little longer, we have a different one. So what about Jack Russell Terriers?
Yep, that would be a terrier, a wired coat, or even it's called a broken coat as well. And a good technique for that is carding to get those dead hairs off. You can even use a furminator, like a de-shedding tool for that, or a nice pin or slicker brush as well.
Oh, this is such good information, Maggie, and I appreciate it so much. And I know you're going to come by and do one of my dogs later on this week. She really needs it. So let me ask you one final question.
Sure.
If you do clip your dogs, does the hair come back in thicker?
Certain breeds, it will change the coat, especially those double-coated, the heavy-coated, with that undercoat. It's going to change that top coarse layer.
That's such good information.
Yeah.
So where can they get in touch with you people?
Well, it's Diamond in the Rough. You can find us on Facebook, or also our phone number is 471-7741.
You better do it. She is excellent. The best in town. I appreciate it so much. Will you come back?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Always.
We have had such a good time, guys. This has just been great. And people like you who come by, it's so informative. Isn't it, Kari?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's really good information to get out there for animal lovers, dog owners, or people who want to become dog owners.
Exactly. Yeah, these things are very important. So we're going to say goodbye, guys, and we'll see you next week. Thanks again so much. Kari, thank you, honey. It's so good.
Dogs. We're talking about dogs. Talking about big dogs. Talking about little dogs.